Hey guys, it's Jen and I'm back with another process video for you. I feel like it's been forever. But I'm using the Felicity Jane October That One Day kit and it is gorgeous and beautiful. And I'm going to use this floral, which is my favorite pattern in the kit. And I am cutting a diagonal, like an oversized photo corner kind of. And I'm going to layer up some different papers behind it to just give it a little bit more texture. And so I'm using this little triangle pattern and this wood grain as well. I'm using some photos from this ranch campground thing that I went to. And so the orange colors in the horse and in the actual ranch house really pull out that orange color in the paper, and I really like that. So I already know what I'm going to title the page, so I'm going to start with that, and I'm using the Jen thickers that came in the kit, and they are gold and glittery, and the glitter does come off a little bit, but I don't care, they're really pretty. So I'm just using some wax paper so that I can move that around as I decide what exactly I want to do. And I'm just titling it Hello Reid Ranch. And in this layout, I'm going to use a bunch of the subscriber printables for the month. So each month, the subscribers get a printable, like an 8.5 by 11 printable sheet. And those flowers and that word hello are from that sheet. And I just love those flowers. And I think the fun thing about the printables are that you can print them over and over again. So I used all 3 of the flowers on the printable sheet on this layout, but I can print them again and again to use them more if I want to. And I love a floral, so I'm not going to say no to that. I'm going to use the stencil in a bit of a way that's different for me. I'm using my pen and outlining it and just doing some circles. I'm using my Muji pen, and I am kind of doing a random smattering below the title block there. And I will do some at the top as well. And then what I'm going to do is kind of fill in those circles. I think I'll decide this a little bit later, but I'm going to fill in those circles with a bit of color. And if I would have planned on that in the first place, I would have used a different pen because this pen is not waterproof, but it ends up working out fine. I didn't use very much water and I didn't use very much color. I just wanted a little dab within the circles. So you'll see that here in just a second. And now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and adhere that photo corner. And I guess it's not really a photo corner, but it's just a large corner on the edge of my paper. And it kind of looks like one of those little paper hats that you fold up right now, which is making me laugh. But I'll trim off those extra edges there so that it lines up with the edge of the page. And I just am basing the whole thing on some white cardstock. And you can see all those dots there. I did add some to the top. And I think I am looking for, I'm looking for just some plastic packaging that I can mix some mists on. So I'm just using a couple of Mr. Huey's mist. This is, I think, Piglet and Taxi. And then I'm adding a bunch of water. And I'm just going to water it down a lot and fill in some of those circles. And before I decide whether I want to use it, I'm testing it out on some scratch paper, which I'm glad I did because it was a little orangey. I wanted it to be kind of more of a pale pink like the flowers. I know that there's orange flowers in the papers, but the flowers from the printable sheet that I'm going to use, so they're a little bit on the softer side. And I am just filling in some of those circles, and I'm keeping it a little darker toward the top and a little lighter toward the bottom. And like I said, the pen wasn't waterproof, but it worked out fine because I barely dabbed some color within the circle, so it worked out. And I didn't mention this before, but I am using 4 photos. They are all 3x4, and I am just making a grid with those. And I think that's a good way to use a bunch of photos, is to just put them all next to each other. So before I glue those down, I'm going to use the leftover mist that I mixed up to just make some really fine splatters. And I'm just putting that all along the outside of the page. And I'm going to put 2 of the photos up on foam squares, and then the other 2 I'll just put directly to base page, and I'm using just some thin foam adhesive, so it's kind of a subtle dimensionality, but I like the way that it ends up looking. So you can see I'm doing that top left photo and the bottom right. And just getting those adhered down. And then next I will work on the title and getting the embellishment clusters done. So I'm just pulling off the backing on those foam tabs. And now I will start on my title. So when I do a title, I like to either center it or line it up on one edge. And when I line it up on one edge, I never go exactly to the edge. I just go slightly in from the edge. So you can see where that H ends. It's just slightly in from where the photo ends. And it just is more pleasing to the eye, I think. So I'm going to layer up these two flower pieces. Again, those are from the subscriber printables, and so is that word hello. So it's going to say hello Reid Ranch. With those two flowers that I'm layering up, I am putting the top one on some thin foam adhesive, and so I want to layer the word hello over the top of those flowers, and so I'm putting some foam adhesive behind that as well, just so that it stands up to the same height as the flower piece. And I'm using these itty bitty tiny little foam squares that are from, sorry, just pulling that out here, Cool Tack. I'll try to link to those if I can remember. And they're tiny. They're really great for small details like this. So now I decide that I want to put just a little triangle of papers mimicking that top left photo corner. I'm going to put one on the bottom as well, and it's just much smaller. So I'm just adhering those layers together, and then I'm going to adhere that to my layout and trim off the excess edges. And I am using my fingernail to kind of rough up the edges of the papers there, just so it gives it a little bit of texture and dimensionality. And I really like the way this is looking. In fact, I probably could have stopped here and been happy with it, but of course I didn't do that. I wanted to bring in a little bit of blue. There's blue in that floral paper and also in the jeans of our little, I don't know what you'd call him, but he helped us with our horses, the little ranch guy. And so I wanted to bring in that blue color, which I love this blue color and you don't see it often. So I put a little label shape that's from the cut-aparts that come in each kit, and I put that underneath my floral and hello little cluster there. And then I made a little cluster at the top right with another floral from the printables, and then the other two are pieces from the cut-aparts. I stamped the date underneath it because it says today on that sticker, and I thought the date stamp fit well next to that. And now I am going to start thinking about what I want to use for finishing touches. I pulled out some of the sequins from the kit, and I'm going to put a few in the two clusters that I have going on right now. And at this point, I was kind of thinking about where am I going to put my journaling, and do I want another embellishment cluster? So I went ahead and hopped over to my typewriter and typed up my journaling. Of course, you could use your computer and a printer if you wanted to. I have been obsessed with my typewriter lately, so I've been typing up lots of my journaling and cutting it into strips. And I'm going to lay these strips over that top photo. It's got a lot of white space above the cabin, and that's a good home for the journaling. So I'm just cutting off the excess on the edges, and then I will get these all lined up. At first I thought I was going to have it overhang the edge, but I didn't quite like the way that looks, so I'm just going to center it on the photo so that it just pretty much stays contained on top of that photo. And I'm using some Scotch Quick Dry adhesive in a fine lined bottle to adhere those strips because they're so skinny. It's nice to have that fine tip of that glue bottle. So just gluing those one by one, and whenever I do word strips like this, I kind of bounce back and forth. I don't want all of them to line up at the edge, so I'm kind of bouncing back and forth along the center line. So after I did that, I kind of felt like I needed something else up top. So I thought about that love and the little tag there, and I actually, looking at it now, really like the way it looks, but I do not end up going with that. I'm going to use that little label, which is from the printables, the subscriber printables, and then this flare that says documented, which is good. I felt like I should add a little bit of black to that cluster up there, and I'm going to stamp the word Friday on that little tab because that was on a Friday, and adhere it kind of behind that label. Now I knew I needed to bring some blue up there, and I kept going back to that happy little circle there, but there wasn't a circle in the bottom cluster, and it was kind of bothering me that there were 2 in the top and 1 on the right. Just, first world problems. But I could not figure out what I wanted to do there. And I thought about cutting just a little piece of the blue patterned paper that was in the kit, but it was little tiny hexagons, and it felt too similar to the polka dot from that little flag I have at the right, so I decided not to go with that. And I just cut off a little piece of that happy circle, and I'm going to just use the tiniest little bit of it for a pop at the top. And I'm going to move it. That cluster seems very spread out right now, so I'm going to move it so that everything's a little bit closer together. And I moved the label as well. It's a little bit strange. It's not my favorite, but it ended up working out. And I'm going to put some sequins up there as well. And I'm just going to glue those down, and that is pretty much going to complete my layout. I hope that you've enjoyed, and be sure to hop on over to the Felicity Jane blog if you're not watching it from the blog, and check out all of the other awesome inspiration from the design team members. We post a new project each weekday. And if you have any questions about this layout, feel free to leave me a comment on the Felicity Jane blog or on my blog at craftyjenscow.com. Or you can leave a comment in the video comment section, and I will link to all available products in the video description. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.